I am writing a song about 7,600 acres, about airports bigger than the regional ones, about vinyl siding and broken glass, about your changing body, about measurements I don't know how to convert to ones that I have precedence for, about a natural disaster that hit my hometown 50 years ago. My mom was 12 and my dad was 10. They were both nearby and both survived. Now it feels important to commemorate it, and I don't know why. It's serious after all. The worst tornado was measured F4 with upwards of 25 million in damages. And what is the F in F for? And regardless of what it stands for, can I convert it to something I already know? Like some simple kind of pain, and the degree to which your memories don't fade. So maybe we can collectively decide what the F stands for. Now the F stands for familial sadness, which is cross-generational, even if you never knew them, which is serious, like Mother's Day, or the 52 people, real people that, wait, do I say died or passed away, or were killed or lost their lives? This is not an edit I want to make. Could the 52 decide for me what's most fitting? Anyway, the day of the storm, my mother went to sex ed class for the first time. She learned about her changing body and everyone else's too. She got a ride home in her friend's mother's red sports car, the kind that can be thrown into the air and torn apart in two. Like in Belvedere, a little farming town, where a school bus was thrown into some power lines. It knocked the lines down, obviously, but also tore the bus in half. And further away in my hometown, my dad's neighbor's roof was completely torn off. He was rushed down into the basement with my granddad, but still got some peeks out. Out of those little gutter window things, he says he remembers the sound the most. You know, he grew up near the Union Pacific freight train tracks, just like I did, a long time later, and it's still the best sound of all sounds, I think. And he remembers seeing each individual blade of grass in the yard sticking up vertically straight before being ripped from the earth in slow motion, getting picked up by the tornado approaching. Then the familiar sound of a freight train rumbling, but no train was running at the time. Just a storm coming and demolishing homes. And now I'm writing a song about it, about the corn cobs from the farmland, stuck perfectly sideways into the vinyl siding of my dad's old house. And then the next morning when my dad walked around and avoided all the broken glass from some windows and the milk deliveries, he was around the same age as me when I walked home from school for the first time instead of getting picked up in a car. I was quietly thrilled and felt generally unsupervised. So when I got home, I climbed the family van. I got on top of it and expected a great view. But all I did was rotate and take in the overcast. It was as gray as anything had ever been, and went on as far as I could see. And I had no sense of disappointment yet. Instead, all I thought was nothing bad has ever happened to me. Nothing bad has ever happened to me. So I'll keep thinking for 15 years after that, and 50 years after April of 1967, I'll put on a little festival, a special event to raise awareness for those affected by the tornado outbreak of '67, the survivors of the disasters, and the families of those who, did I decide on, died or passed away or were killed or lost their lives. And I'll sing about the F4 and the F2 cyclones, the roller rink, the rush hour commuters, and the high school in Oak Lawn. And then there's the part about the high school in Oak Lawn. And by the way, what do you do when it's Monday and it's time for class? What do you do if you're a custodian with a quiet laugh? Do you laugh? And what do you say if you're the principal? When you see all the rubble, do you say, oh, what a kingdom I had? Oh, what a kingdom I had. And if I have any gauge on the feelings of my invited guests, they're displeased with all the statistics in my song, but are intrigued by the last part about the custodian. So I aim for something more emotionally direct. And the next verse starts, and it's about Mother's Day of last year, when I told my dad I was thinking about his mom too. And he replied, I wish you had memories of her, which I don't, but I probably do. And a survivor from the tornado will mutter under their breath, I wonder what my grandma has to do with this natural disaster and death. So the next verse starts, and it's back to where we were. And now I wonder if the teacher at that sex ed class made it home all right. And I wonder if freight trains still ran earlier that day. They never seemed to stop for anything anyway. And then the next verse starts, and I get carried away. And now I'm singing about the places I still walk today, like the route I took home from school that day I saw overcast in the greenhouse that used to be on Western Ave. And that's a vacant lot now, not because a tornado leveled it, but for some other normal reason. And how sometimes when I'm on that walk, the moisture from the day before gets amplified by the street lamp glow and changes all the pale lights to warm lights, and I'm witnessing something perfect. And now I want to call someone I love and tell them I'm witnessing something perfect. And say, hey, I'm seeing perfection. I think I believe in God. Nothing bad could ever happen. I think I believe in God. Hey, I'm seeing perfection. I think I believe in God. Nothing bad could ever happen. I think I believe in God. And that the invited guests are now completely upset. They raise their voices and say, you've never done something great. You've never reckoned with real pain, and nothing bad has ever happened to you. And I get defensive and say, maybe something bad is constantly happening to me. Did you hear that last part about my grandma? And they'll say this mix of pure information and bullshit self-expression is more exhausting than it is touching. And I'll offer up a story about another relative with a real estate license who had access to that house in my hometown, where my dad saw the blades of grass. So he went and walked around inside and saw his old dog's claw marks in the bay windowsill. It was at 210 Simpson Street. Severe damage. Near 127 Simpson Street. Severe damage. Near 205 Simpson Street, minor damage. Near 833 Valley Lane, moderate damage. Near 838 Valley Lane, total loss. And I think I have them hooked with the dog's claw marks, but the list of addresses lost them again. The guests look distracted and bored and ornery, and I start pacing around while I sing. And while they wander about, I think of their sensitivity to information and decide to hide the pile of commemorative t-shirts I've made, which list all of the names of the deceased in columns titled F2 and F4, and instead retrieve my souvenir backup plan, which is a large pile of t-shirts that simply display the word tornado with a picture of my face on them for them to remember my song by. But it's also gotten quite chilly out, so while I do that, I go to my own personal plan, see, which is a crewneck sweater with the word tornado. But I never got around to adding the picture of my face that only says tornado. Now I'm getting booed off my own stage because none of them want to wear my face on a t-shirt, nor do they want to wear the names of their dead relatives. But maybe they would wear the crewneck sweater if only I made enough for everyone. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And dejectedly I pack up and head to the airport to go back home and re-engage with a more innocuous fantasy on the way there. You know, there's this automated audio that plays during inclement weather in most airports. At least the airport's bigger than the regional ones. It tells you the safe spaces to go in case the weather becomes severe, like the terminal chapel and the bathrooms near baggage claim. And I like to imagine that the audio plays from a tape and a tape deck at some unassuming and unattended desk. And when nobody's looking, I can switch the tape with the tape of the song I'm writing. So when the weather gets rough and the storm is by but not quite imminent, my favorite part plays, the part that goes. Nothing bad has ever happened to me. 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 I am writing a song about my sweater and people booing me, about my loved ones and about God, probably, about raising awareness in the old family van. I am writing a song about my sweater and people booing me, about my loved ones and about God, probably, about raising awareness in the old family van. I am writing a song about, if I sing my doubts, they start to become certainties. And if I keep my certainties from being sung, I start to doubt them. Should I keep that last part in? I am writing a song about, if I sing my doubts a second time, they become certainties a second time. And if I keep my certainties from being sung again, I start to doubt them again. Should I keep that last part in? And if you had to choose, have I done something good now? Or is something bad happening to me?